organization. We're talking about backups. We're talking about protecting your data. But just like, let's say you wanted to paint your house or paint a room, there's certain things that you have to do. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of things that you have to do besides merely painting, taking a brush or roller and painting the walls and the ceilings and the trim and so forth. You have to prepare. You have to have some type of organization or you're going to have a mess. And the same applies probably to everything we do. You need organization. And at the end of the day, the more organized you are in that particular effort, the better outcome you can realize. And the same is true for backup. So organization, let's talk about that now. Now there are 4 levels of organization, really 3. I added this last one, which we'll talk about. There are 4 levels of organization that will help you have a sound backup, it will help you tremendously in creating a backup plan, a backup strategy, mostly a backup plan. And what are they? It's the computer system organization. We're going to talk about these in a few. Your disk and partition organization, your folder organization, and what I call specialized folders. All right. And I'll define that later. System organization. System organization typically will be for a larger company, or you might say a company that has a lot of servers, maybe a lot of computers. And what you do, you're going to organize your system. You're going to organize those computers. For example, in a company, you may have a file server. It's dedicated for storing company files that people can access. You might have a database server, a web server. You might have a machine dedicated for accounting, what have you. And you're going to organize those systems at that level. All right. And that comes into play later when you're deciding what to back up, how to back things up. You have these groups of functionality at the system level, at the computer level. Another organizational level of organization is what I call the disk organization. And here you're going to organize the hard disk and partitions into defined functions. For example, you might configure a computer to have 2 disks. Let's say you buy a computer, and you can check this out now. You go to a computer website like Dell or HP, and you look at their specifications where you can configure it, and they may have dual disk systems where they'll have a system disk, right? And then you'll have a data disk. All right, so the system disk is organized or is dedicated for the operating system and programs. The data disk is reserved for your files, your documents, pictures, movies, music, all your company data, your Excel files, your Word files, so forth and so on. It's your data. So you have a division of functionality right there in the computer by using a division of your hard drives, or 2 hard drives, or you can have 1 hard drive with 2 partitions, one for the C drive, one for the D drive. All right. And I don't want to get into partitions, what they are. That's beyond the scope of this lesson, but just suffice it to say that a hard drive can be logically divided into sections called partitions. And you can assign a drive letter to those partitions, C and D and so forth and so on. Here's an example of a disk partition. Here's an example of a disk organization. Here you have a system that has a C drive right here. And here you have in that same system, you have another D drive. Okay, like that. So this system drive here, C, as you can see, it's named OS. That's for the operating system. And you can name your drives, by the way. You can name it system or OS. I just decided to do OS. And this one is named data, and it's reserved for my data files. Okay? So that's an example of how you can organize your disks. And you might have other, like here, well, not a DVD, but maybe an attached hard drive or something that can be dedicated for specific files and whatnot. I know some video content creators, they may have a big NAS unit, which we'll talk about NAS later. They'll have a big storage unit just for their videos because, videos take a lot of space. All right, but anyway, let's continue. Next organization is the folder organization. All right, this level of organization is how you basically you divide or you create folders to hold certain types or hold certain classes of files. And it's very similar. It's probably the same. It's the same concept if you had a physical file cabinet. You might have one drawer for, I don't know, accounting, another drawer for accounts, and, or the top two drawers, whatever. And then within those drawers, you're going to have folders, right? And, folder could be for one client, client one, client two, another client three, another folder for this year and last year, whatever. But you're dividing the files on your computer into folders. We already went system, disks. Now we're going to divide and create folders to hold specific types of documents, of specific types of data. This will help tremendously when you develop your backup plan, as we will see. This is going to really help you a lot. And here's an example of a folder organization. And this is a system. And you can see there are many, many folders on here. This is in my documents folder. Now, you wouldn't want to just start dumping files in your document folders. You want to divide them or classify them and create folders for specific things. Now, some of these folders are created by programs that you may install, but some of them are not, like health, home computers and TVs, my home network, house, ministry, what else you got? Library, OB, all kinds of things that I created to put specific types of files in there. And then when I do my backup, I may prioritize one folder or group of folders over another. I may prioritize one disk over another. You see what I mean? All right. Now, here's something very, very, of course, is part of organization, but it's house cleaning. Keep things clean. As you work on your computer, you're going to install programs, you're going to create files, you're going to edit files, you're going to do all kinds of things. And after a while, you may accumulate clutter. And periodically, what you might want to do, or actually what you should do, is go back, delete stuff you don't need or archive them. Some stuff you can delete, maybe old programs that you installed 2 years ago if you have the computer that long. Old temporary files, things like that. You can clean it up. And there's some programs that you can purchase where you can deduplicate. Matter of fact, you can find duplicate files, like you might have the same file in 2 different, 3 different, 4 different places. That's especially useful in a organization. And remember, why is this important? This cleaning, this housekeeping is important because you don't want to back up stuff you don't need. That's just like, storing trash, taking up space in your basement or in your garage to store trash, to store stuff you do not need. All right? Because backup costs money. Backup storage, rather, costs money. So you want to do your best to back up only what you need to back up. All right? Now, next we're going to talk about what I call the bigger picture, because backups are part of a bigger picture. All right? It's an important part, but it's part of a bigger picture.